guys, we're back for another episode today with Colby White. Won't be that many more days. Colby will be headed to spring training, so we want to get in a couple episodes before he got out of here. Just some quick housekeeping we want to do with you guys before we get started on the episode today. If we want you guys to continue to follow the show here on the network, Sideline Sports. So if you'll please like, share, and subscribe to the network, you'll be notified of all the episodes we have coming up. We're just a baseball show on a sports network. Guys, our network covers all types of sports, football, baseball, basketball, everything. We actually have some colleagues that we know that are part of the network with us. They are covering the Super Bowl festivities this week. So you definitely want to, by subscribing, you'll be able to check in on those updates that they're going to be coming with. Now we got that out of the way, let's talk about a little baseball. First of all, Colby, I'd ask you how you're doing, but I already know. The nerves have got to be kicking in by now. You're fixing to go make the trip.
That's it.
So what's your official report date?
February 14th is the first day we have activities, I should say. I think that's like physical day and all that, and just kind of getting acclimated with everybody and getting settled into the clubhouse, locker room kind of thing. So, yep, February 14th. I'll leave on the 13th and get down there the day before and get everything settled into the Airbnb and all that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, he's gonna be roughing it there, Airbnb. So I might have misheard you. Did you tell me in the middle of y'all spring training you guys are going to move locations?
We are. Sometime around the 28th of February, we're gonna basically pack everything up and move from Orlando to Tampa. And then we'll operate out of the Trop, the big league stadium, for the rest of spring training. And
so for any of our listeners, any of our viewers that want to check these guys out, they'll be in Orlando at the Wide World of Sports for the first 2 weeks, and then they'll finish up their spring training at your regular facility or just a facility in the area of Tampa.
The regular one, Tropicana Field.
Okay, so everything will be rocking and rolling. So spring training, you make it through it. When will you know in that process what's going to happen to you, like where you'll go and all that kind of stuff? Just the last couple of days?
I'm sure it's going to be after minor league camp. If I had to guess, I'm going to be at the complex because I'm not going to be healthy for another 3 months or so, possibly 4 or 5. I really don't know. Just kind of a waiting game. So much uncertainty on this stuff. Like I threw my first bullpen this past Saturday or yesterday actually, and so I can tell you I still got a long road ahead of me. But I'm looking forward to it. That's
top secret information. We can't really talk about that. We can't even explain where it was. That was a top secret. That was some they flew in on the helicopter to check him out. So all right, so for all of you that weren't here last week, well, first of all, we want to apologize. We missed a couple of weeks worth of episodes. We had a lot of things going on. There's quite a bit of uncertainty about our scheduling that we're going to be doing with the show because, like I said, Colby's fixing to embark on this journey. So last week was the first episode we've had in about 3 weeks. So we appreciate all of y'all that hung in there to check us out. Last week and this week, we decided to have a couple of fun, what we call fun episodes. Wasn't going to drag a guest on here and talk to them about it. We were just going to show you how much we know or how much we don't know about the game of baseball and about specifically the MLB this upcoming year. So Colby was imparting some wisdom on some folks last week. If you missed it, you need to go back and check that episode out. He essentially told you who the World Series champion was going to be last week. So if you check that episode out, you'll know to put your money on them. But we do not condone betting on this site, do we?
No, sir. Not whatsoever on any site.
Yes, we do not condone betting on sports activities.
At no shape or form.
We talked about the AL last week, the American League. And like I said, I gave a few numbers, a few small predictions. Colby was kind of leading the show because he's an AL expert. Now this week, because I've been struggling with whatever that can barely speak 2 days ago, I'm going to talk very little today. He's going to give you guys a bunch of knowledge about the NL at this point. And he'll tell you who he thinks will make it all the way through to the World Series and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna run a few numbers by him here as we talk, and I'm gonna get his input on it. First of all, let's get started. Let's just jump right off the boat into the water right off the bat. Who do you believe are going to be the division winners in the NL?
Oh, first of all, in the East, I know the Mets have a bunch of hype. They signed a bunch of big name players. I think it's going to be a flip of the coin between the Mets and the Braves. And I think, these are, for one thing, with the Mets and the guys that they have, and they kind of got older players, is battling injuries and stuff is my thing is. And that's been them in the past. And I don't know necessarily how well they're going to gel right there together. And I grew up, obviously, in South Mississippi, so I'm a Braves fan, and I'm a little partial. Growing up, I was a Braves fan. No longer, obviously. But I think the Braves are going to win the division by a game. I think the Mets get the wild card in the NL. I'm going to say in the Central. Let's see. I don't know, man. It's probably going to be there's nobody that just really sticks out in the Central to me. So I'm going to go.
If I had to guess in the Central, I'd say it's probably, I think Milwaukee will come back a little stronger than they did last year. I think Milwaukee probably wins it. I think it's going to go down to the wire with them and St. Louis, just like you said with Atlanta and the Mets. I'm a big Cubs fan, and I gave you a number a while ago, and we're going to talk about it in just a second. I gave you a number, a wins total that they're predicting for the Cubs, and it's a low number. And I told you, I just truly don't believe they're even going to make it to that number. I see the Cubs in such a rebuild at this point that it's just going to be some long, lean years if you're a Cubs fan. But, hey, I waited 100 years for a World Series. I guess I can wait another 100. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, you just signed two guys that's won, and they're not old yet. I mean, they're older, but you got Dansby Swanson and Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger had a rough past couple of years, but both of those guys have won. Both of those guys are coming somewhere where you have up and coming stars. They obviously anytime you talk about a rebuilding, you got young prospects coming up that's going to fill the gap for years to come. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they overachieved into getting 70 wins. And I feel like that's a good year for them. But
tell you what, I would be elated if they got to 70 wins this year.
I said, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, like I said, obviously with this kind of stuff, this is baseball. It is like I kind of put it like this. I guess it's not a gamble because everybody makes it about a gamble, but it's kind of like stocks. You never really know one game to the next if something irregular is going to happen because anybody can beat anybody on any given day. And that's why this is so hard of a thing to project. And no matter what talent is there, that talent don't always match up to what is as expected. People have down years. People have great years that hadn't had great years, So we might be looking at this, I guess, around September, October and be like, wow, we were way off.
Man, we was way off on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
let me ask you a question.
So.
You talk about young and talented in the Central. When I think of young and talented, I see a Pittsburgh Pirate team that I can't figure out. Like 1 week they play like world beaters, and the next week they play like a 12-year-old all-star team. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with them. Do you see them possibly with all that youth turning the corner this year? They got them projected to win 67.5 games. They over that number or below that number?
I just see it kind of true to that. But speaking on that subject, a team that I kind of watched at the beginning of the year last year was the Reds. I guess they were playing Atlanta. I don't know if it was opening week or when, but sometime or another. And I was sitting there, and I think they took 2 or 3 from Atlanta. And I was sitting there thinking, man, this is a good team. You had Hunter Green on the mound one game, gave you a quality start at the beginning of the year, and they looked good and won a few games from the defending World Series champions that last year because they won it 2 years ago. But I think eventually the Reds are gonna look up and be like, dang, this is a pretty good club, you know.
You know what's so crazy with these win projections? I'm trying to spin through it and check out the Central. You got let's see, you got the Cubs 66.5, the Reds 65.5. You got Pittsburgh 67.5. So it's got all them kind of clustered together. And then you've got St. Louis at 86.5, and they've got the Brewers at 88.5. So it looks like everybody feels like those two teams will be battling it out to the end. Now, my question is, let's say it plays out that way. Milwaukee and St. Louis. Let's say Milwaukee wins 88 games. Do you see a wild card coming out of that division, or is a wild card going to come out of the West?
I mean, I think it's going to be a NL East, NL West. Those two, one of those is going to win a wild card, going to play it, because obviously the Dodgers have a ton of talent and they've won a lot of games over the past 10 years or better, and they're going to continue to win a lot of games during the regular season. The Padres are very good. You look at all the guys they have signed. They're not scared. They're like the Mets right now. They're not scared to spend money. And, everybody talked about for years the Dodgers going out and getting somebody. And it's kind of dwindling down from there. The Padres kind of took that role as older brother, I feel like. So, I say you're going to look at it at the end of the year, and it's either going to be, for the wild card, it's either going to be Dodgers or Padres or Braves, Mets. One of those, and I think the Central is only going to get one. Whoever wins that division.
You were talking about the Dodgers winning a bunch of ball games. They got them projected to win 103.5 this year. That's the only NL team that got projected to win over 100 games. You see that happening?
I don't see them winning 100 games. I would take the odds that they don't, and I take the odds that the Padres win more than the Dodgers.
So y'all heard it here. Colby would take the under, but he does not condone betting on overs and unders.
Yeah, this is just old timers sitting around watching baseball and drinking coffee and saying, I think this club's going to have a good year, you know. So
correct. For all you listening out there, all you watching, that's pure speculation. We do not know anything when it comes to the arena of betting on sports.
Exactly.
All right, so
and we wouldn't want to know anything about that. You know, it's just a terrible thing that happens when you start talking about money and the pureness of baseball, you know. So we definitely aren't going through it like that.
Let me ask you a question about the West. You're talking about a winner and a wild card. You keep bringing up San Diego Padres. They're young. They're spending money. They got star power. But what about that old guard out there in San Francisco that just consistently wins so many games every year? Seems like they make the playoffs every year. The San Francisco Giants. Did the San Francisco Giants sneak in the back door?
I just don't see them. I don't see them outperforming the Padres. I just don't. The Padres have had a couple years now, and then you're going to be getting I can't think of his name, motorcycle wreck back. What's his name? Tatis Jr.
Yeah, Tatis Jr.
And then you got Juan Soto. This is just going to be the first year you're going to have all of them gelling together. I feel like I'm expecting a big year from the Padres. And I may be wrong. We might be sitting there and they win 81 games and don't make the playoffs.
I win 75 games. You go, man. I told you I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
All right. So, a question on that. We talked about this last week about kind of who. The team we talked about a lot last week was the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, Cleveland kind of came out of nowhere. They were Cinderella. You know, they were wearing that slipper to one day, finally it didn't fit. Who's that Cinderella team in the NL? Who could shock the world this year?
Let's see.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, these win totals on this National League, the way they got them projected, there's a lot of teams lumped right in the middle of the NL.
Yeah.
You got teams like the Marlins. You got teams like the Rockies. You got a lot of teams that got projected to win somewhere in the 60s, 60 win total. You got the Philadelphia Phillies, who we hadn't even talked about. They got them projected to win 86 ball games.
Yeah.
So who do you think? I will say this. From what I'm looking at, just from the numbers, I'm going to say the Washington Nationals is not that team.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a Central team if you sit around at the end of the year and say, dang, I would not have expected them to have this run. I think it's going to be like a Reds or a
Cincinnati Reds.
somebody. I mean, and we might be sitting here and like, and I know I keep throwing this out there because that's just bold. You make a bold statement that sticks, you're a genius. You make a bold statement that don't stick, you're an idiot. But
Sure.
the Reds have, the Reds have been moving pieces to the pie for a while now. So eventually it's going to have to pan out. So I don't know.
I will say this. You were talking about the Reds from last year. The Reds at times were red hot, and then they just got ice cold. I mean, they were they were one of the streakiest teams in the league when it came to wins and losses. They'd rip off 5 or 6, 8 wins in a row, and then they'd lose, half a dozen. The question is, if they eliminate some of that, if they pick up that 1 or 2 wins where they were losing, I mean, you could be looking at a team like Cincinnati because I'm telling you, the Central is, except for probably Chicago, is going to be ultra competitive. I mean, it's going to go down to the last, week, 10 days of the season. I feel like it always does.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing too is, if you're going to have a team that's going to slip up on somebody, I feel like it's got to be in a division where you don't have 2 powerhouse teams that are winning 90-plus games every year.
Right.
You know, that in the past couple of years, the Central just hasn't been, it hadn't been like, well, they got this division, so that was why I said that. There might not be a team, but if I was to guess, and like I said, we might sit here and they win 61 games and it'd be, but
folks, what he's saying is, if he was a betting man, he would put his money on a team coming out of the Central to be the shocker this year. All right, so there's a lot of big time acquisitions that were made, a lot of trades and a lot of free agent signings. I could take the easy road and say probably the biggest, most impressive one was Verlander. But who do you think it was in the NL? Like that one move that's going to put that team in a position where they need to be.
Well, I mean, when you start thinking about one move, I don't know that you could pick out one team, but I will say this: like you just brought up Verlander and the Mets and all that. There is an undeniable. I mean, you can't deny that they won the offseason, going and signing who all they have and the pieces they already had. They got a good club. They really do. And the difference is are they going to stay healthy the whole year? Like I saw Adam Ottavino, Edwin Diaz in the bullpen. You start looking at other names of guys that are quality arms. But, I mean, Adam Ottavino, he's a closer. And I know Edwin Diaz is their closer for some years now. But, I mean, anytime you start pulling bullpen pieces that are good enough to be closers elsewhere, it's like, well, they can get it done. And you look at the starters, and which the Mets have never been scared to spend money. Even years they had bad clubs, they had spent money, But like you said, talking about Verlander, I mean, he's won a World Series. He's been to the playoffs multiple times. He's won Cy Young Award. So, I mean, he's as good as it gets. And then you start talking about Jacob deGrom, him coming back, being healthy. I got to looking through there. I can't think of the rest of the pitching staff, but they got a good
pitch to potential. They are going to be scary. That is true.
Yeah. Well, and then offensive side, you got Francisco Lindor, you got Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil hit really well last year, had a huge year offensively, so it's pretty balanced. I mean, you got talent on the field. There ain't no doubt about it. They've done their job in putting the talent into places. Now the job is make it gel and win ball games, So, and that's a whole lot harder said, easier said than done, and it's a hard thing to do. So, So I mean, I know that the Phillies are expected to do well. But I still think it's out of the Mets and the Braves for the NL East. I really feel like that.
How big of you're a big Braves guy, so this is going to hit close to your heart here. You mentioned it, Dansby Swanson moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
How big of a hit is that? Like, I mean, how big of a hole are you having to replace there?
Well, I feel like it all depends on Von Grissom and Braden Shoemake. I mean, you call up Grissom last year, and he played some third, and he's versatile, obviously. I played against him in the minor leagues, but I remember thinking, I guess this was 2021. I remember thinking, because Braden Shoemake, who's a Texas A&M guy, and I played against him in college, and I remember playing against him in the minor leagues and stuff. And right when he got drafted, he went high A for a couple of weeks and then went straight to Double A, and he stayed at shortstop. He even stayed at shortstop last year. And I'm sitting here thinking, they must think that, and they didn't trade him. This was his Rule 5 year. This was Braden Shoemake's Rule 5 year. So I'm like, well, they're not trading him. There's obviously a lot of value there because he's a top, I don't know what prospect he was, but he was definitely a top 10 prospect for the Braves. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe they think they can't re-sign Dansby. And then I guess it was playoffs. I guess it was last year. I could be confused. Could be 2 years ago. My mind is going about crazy. But call up Von Grissom, and he just does well. He's a young kid. Tears it up hitting. I think he hit it might not have been playoffs, might have been in the year, but I remember he hit a couple home runs. I think his first big league home run was at Fenway. And I want to say he finished hitting 300 on the year, right at 300. So it's definitely gonna, and you got two different options there. You got Grissom or you got Shoemake, and with Shoemake has yet to be called up and play and all that, but he's very talented. He's a really good defender. Big contact guy. I've seen Shoemake play a lot more than Grissom. But, I mean, here's the thing, too. You start looking at needs of a team, and in their head, they might think they need to spend that money somewhere else, like go get an arm, So, and obviously you traded last year and got Matt Olson, which I didn't think it was any different than Freddie Freeman. You start talking about age. Well, age will help you 5 years from now. Not right now if the numbers are the same,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure Freddie Freeman led the National League majority of the year in hits. I don't know if he ended the National League at the end of the year with hits, but
right.
So, yeah, I mean, and then you have Contreras. I mean, you got a good group, and I think all they're worried about right now is saving money for the future. And when you start looking at who they signed for a while, it's pretty impressive because they got young talent and I felt like the Braves won that big time. Other teams would have paid way more for them caliber of players than what the Braves did. So I don't know that it hurts them as much as it appears. Obviously, Dansby's incredible talent, but it ain't like you don't have options. You don't have guys that could fill what he does, So down the road, and they might not, but here's the thing, you always trade. You got money saved up. Because essentially that had to have been what it came down to. He was wanting more money than what the Braves are going to offer. And you start overpaying guys. You overpay one guy, and then the other guys on your club are sitting there thinking, well, he got this. Why didn't, So they stepped away from him. It seemed like to me is how that went down. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt them. I think Grissom or Shoemake both would be a quality player at the big league level at shortstop. So if I'm the Braves, I think you won there. So,
well, you've got your finger on the pulse of coming out of college and then pitching in the minors last year. What's that one guy? Because you mentioned you faced both those guys you were just talking about. You faced both of them at some point in your college or pro career. What's that one guy that you were able to face last year that should be an absolute lock to be called up this year?
Oh, man, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the guys I faced that I thought was like, man, this is a really good hitter, they were in the big leagues last year. So 2022, they were in the big leagues. I'm going to be honest, probably the best hitter I faced in the minor leagues was Michael Harris, center fielder. Because, for whatever reason, the Braves play the Rays in the minor leagues and obviously rookie ball for years. I guess maybe not this year because of the complex getting destroyed, and then low A with Charleston and Augusta. High A, which is Rome and Bowling Green. Double A, which is Mississippi and Montgomery. Triple A is Gwinnett and Durham. So, I got to face a lot of the guys or see a lot of guys with the Braves through the years. But yeah, Michael Harris, man, he can hit. I mean, you can't get him to swing and miss.
He turned out okay. I think that kid did.
Yeah, well, and they gave him, I guess it was $100 million or so,
It was pretty ridiculous how good he was, how quick.
Yeah. I mean, you get at bat with it, man. You can, and the name of my game is swing and miss, and when you can't swing and miss, you don't feel so good on the mound throwing to a guy. You can't get swing and miss and has a chance to run a ball at the ballpark, So
that's true. Hey, how much interleague, like how many games? Do you know the total number of games, interleague games they have? You know how they've where you play the NL plays X amount of AL games and vice versa. You know what that number is? They actually set that number last year, didn't they? They're going to play that amount of games inter squad or interleague every year, right?
Yeah, I don't know number of games, but I know every team will play every team. You'll play all 29 other big league teams. The Rays will this year. I'm assuming every other team will.
They tried to. I think they were working on that number last year, and whatever number that was last year is supposed to be the locked number for ever how long the CBA runs. Was it 5 years? What's the CBA running now? 5 years at a time?
I think till 2026.
I think it's 5 years. I think they do them in 5-year increments.
Yeah.
So that's what I was curious is how much interleague you guys were going to see. But you said y'all play at least one series against every team in the league.
Yeah. So I guess that'll be 15 in the NL will play series. Now I don't know. Obviously, 162 games, you couldn't just play a 3-game set because that's an odd number. Somebody's going to have to play a 2 or a 4. They're probably going to be 4.
It doesn't come out. I say it doesn't come out right with that many teams.
Yeah, so
that's what I was curious
about.
How much?
15. Yeah.
So a lot of these guys you're sitting here talking about right now. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these fellas you sit here talking about.
You start. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying exactly. A lot of these guys you're talking about within the next, 18 to 24 months, you're gonna be on the mound having to face these guys. Mm-hmm. And you just said out of your own mouth that you couldn't get Michael Harris out. So
yeah, well, I got him. I looked out and got him. Well, he got a self out. Okay. That's actually what happens. But
did he?
It wasn't no swinging to miss. A bunch of foul balls. I think a few times I got him out. It was like fly balls and ground outs and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, and then when you start thinking about the whole CBA thing and talking about, which I don't know that was as big of a point of concern for them. I don't know, but like I think they just added the minor leaguers to the union, which is huge. But obviously they want to expand the game of baseball to youth. That's what they talk about. Kids watching this, that, and the other. And this is kind of irrelevant to our conversation today to an extent, I guess. But you're playing every team in baseball this year if you're the Rays, and I'm assuming every team is following suit. But when you start looking at the blackouts, like right here, this is considered Braves country. If I was to want to watch the Braves on MLB.com or somewhere else, besides, what is it, Fox Sports South or FS1, whatever it is, they would black it out. Yeah, they would black it out where you had to buy the channel. You had to buy, and I understand they got to get their money, but it needs to be organized some kind of way to where if this network you buy runs that game, no matter what area you live, you should better pick it up. That's just stupid. Yeah. If you want to grow the game,
But what's so insane about that is, especially now that you've enlightened me on how many interleague games is going to be going on. Well, shoot, if I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I want to watch the Red Sox play the Houston Astros, I should be, and it's a locally televised Houston Astro game, I should still be able to watch it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's destroying the whole fan base you're trying to build at this point. I understand the revenue and the benefits of revenue and all that kind of stuff. And it used to be on that what they call the sellout concept. Well, the game's not sold out. I mean, it's hard to sell out game 75 of 162 games, and it's in the middle of the summertime and you got kids running around everywhere and playing youth sports and all that kind of. It's different than football. Football season traditionally around the country, it's miserable weather outside, and you want to be inside to watch a football game. You want to be in the stadium, or you want to be sitting in front of your TV watching it. It's a big difference when the sun comes out and you feel like a human being again, and you want to get outside.
Exactly.
That's what makes
There ain't
baseball so amazing, man. You know, baseball. I hear people say, "Well, they drag baseball out too long." Well, no, they drag everything out too long. Every sport's too long. But the game of baseball, though, I can sit and watch 4 months of it because I know about 75% of the time, if I want to go to a ballpark, I can sit out in beautiful sunshine and watch a ball game instead of sitting out, with it snowing. I watched the Buffalo football game the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, there was so much snow on the ground, you couldn't even make out the players on the field. That's not entertainment. That's misery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and the thing too about that is, there's a lot more games like people talk about, and for a kid, I guess maybe you could, to a guy that don't sit around and just obsess over every little player and every little play, you could probably get bored with it with the time and all that. But that's when some crazy stuff happens, man. When a team's up by 20 and you put a position player in there to pitch and stuff like that. Like if you watch basketball and football, I'd be willing to bet you're not going to have the punter out there taking snaps and throwing the ball downfield, stuff like that,
That is true.
And it's it's silly to bring stuff up like that. And obviously, I'm not a huge fan of the bat flips. Like I don't think it is like I'm not worried that it's disrespectful. It really is disrespectful, but you hear that argument about let the kids play, let them bat flip, let them do stuff like that. And I'm not saying not let them bat flip, because it obviously doesn't bring excitement. But what else brings excitement is when you ear hole a guy and he runs out to the mound trying to fight you, stuff like that,
That's right. Yeah.
Just as much of a right as he has to bat flip, the pitcher has just as much right to hit you. So
that's true. That's true. Hey, if he hits a 600-footer off me in the second inning, and then he flips his bat and he gives me one of them dance moves because he's going down to first, I'm gonna put one in his rib cage next time he comes up. That's just how it is. So
yeah,
I don't know. Y'all probably can't do that now.
Yeah, I definitely will not hit anybody because a lot of those guys are extremely big human beings. If Aaron Judge wants to bat flip on me and he hit a ball, 312 foot like he does at Yankee Stadium all the time, and it's a home run, he's earned it. I'm not finna have to fight that big dude.
I know you didn't say that. I know you didn't say that big monster hit some 312-foot home runs.
They do, man. They didn't move that fence back. The air's thin up there too. So
is that what it is? Yeah.
If he was down here in the dirty South, he wouldn't be check swinging, hitting balls out of, I don't know where, Minute Maid or somewhere like that.
Anywhere. Yeah, not even Minute Maid. He wouldn't even get out of Minute Maid. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know, man. I might still, if he bat flipped me, I might still have to put one in his ribs. Hey man, he might whoop me, but I hope my teammates will get there soon enough to pull him off of me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me ask you one quick question. There was a total here that I was kind of shocked at. The Washington Nationals. Now, the Washington Nationals is one of them organizations you just never know what you're going to get with them. 1 year they're amazing, next year not so good. They actually have them projected to win 58 games next year. Do you truly believe that there's no way they're going to win just or less than 58 games?
Man,
what did you tell me a while ago? We were talking about the Cubs. Wait a minute, you were talking about the Cubs, and you said, "Oh man, you got to have miss a bunch of pieces to be able to lose and to win that few games." Do you truly believe the Nationals are going to be that bad this year?
I kind of do. I mean, I don't know about 58 wins.
That's pitiful.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, there's been pitiful years, but I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously they got rid of Juan Soto, got rid of what is his name? He's with the Angels now. Big bat they had. Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
they sold everybody.
Look, I understand it was a fire sale and they got rid of a bunch of guys, but they got to have a few prospects that's going to come up and provide a little bit of offense.
Yeah. Well, to me, and it seems like this, as much as you play games within your division, if you got like 2 or 3 teams in your division that are really good, like I know they had said the Phillies were projected to win 86 games, and they may. Got Bryce Harper and Kyle Swarber, all those guys. They got a talented group. Somebody's got to be the nail there. There's a few hammers. Somebody's going to be the nail. You know? So, and that's probably what's going to do it.
Yeah. One day you the hammer and one day you the nail. All right. Yeah. So before we get out of here for today, we just like we did the projections. You've already kind of put the pieces together how the playoffs are going to work out with wild cards and all that. So who is the NL representative in your mind, NL representative in the World Series?
Oh, man, I got a feeling. I got a big feeling it's going to be the Padres.
Okay. Well, you're riding them Padres, aren't you?
I'm just riding them a little bit. I just got a feeling.
All right. So the Padres. Now, remind me, what was that AL pick you had? Like it's at on the tip of my tongue. Who was your AL
Guardians.
pick? Okay.
The Guardians besides us.
No. I'm going to go back and pull the video. I don't think it was the Guardians.
I expect the Guardians to overachieve. I mean, they're young. They're going to keep getting better, but Padres, I feel like they're in that bucket.
Well, y'all heard it. If y'all putting money on the teams, y'all just heard who the World Series reps are going to be.
The World Series is going to be the Rays with us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. The ALCS is probably going to include the Rays, and then I guess if that bracket falls that way, it'll be us and the Guardians. I don't know. Okay. I feel like the Guardians are on the up and coming, man. They're a little dynasty.
You heard it. The Guardians are going to be the overachievers. They're going to push the Rays to the limit, but the Rays are going to come out on top and head to the World Series. And the man did not go with the easy pick and say the Mets, the overloaded Mets, and the underachieving. I figured he's going to say the overloaded Mets and the underachieving Dodgers. I figured it was going to be the NL, but no, he went straight to the Padres. I mean, no pass go, no collect $200. He straight to the Padres. So y'all heard it. If y'all betting people, that's who you need to put your money on, because Colby has not missed on a pick so far this year. Just putting that out there. Of course, he only made picks last week and this week, so we don't know yet. So, isn't that right, Colby?
Exactly.
All right,
that's it.
Well, guys, that's going to be it for today. We gave y'all our picks for AL and NL. AL last week, NL this week. There will not be a show next Sunday. I do know that for a fact because he's going to be in the middle of turning his world upside down, getting ready to go to spring training next week. And he and I'll sit down and have a couple of conversations when he gets to spring training, kind of figure out what we're going to do. And you never know. This crazy guy might actually come live from the bullpen at spring training. You don't ever know about this dude. So
you can't never tell, man.
You can't never tell, man. Boy, you crazy. You crazy. All right. So, we guys, we won't see y'all next week, but please stay, checking out our social media. We'll keep you guys updated on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else. So, all right, my man, I won't see you on here next week, but we'll chat this week and we'll get everything lined out. And I guess it'll probably be a couple weeks at least before we get to do this again. Okay.
Sounds good. I've enjoyed it.
All right, brother. And as always, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Thank y'all. See y'all later.